Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to episode 38 of Fundraising BIDness Talk. I'm Patrick Siver. I'm the lead auctioneer and owner at G Events LLC, based here in Beaverton, beautiful Beaverton, Oregon. And it's a wonderful day in Oregon. It's start of the rainy season, a little bit of rain. But we've had a pretty good year so far, so can't complain. And we know it'll stay green if we keep getting some rain. So, hey, folks, we've got a busy week here at G Events, and I wanted to chat with you because I thought it was stuff that is interesting. And for those who are fans of the fundraising auction business, and so we're going to dive right into it. But the premise is we're doing three fundraising auction events in the next 4 nights, and each one of them is in a different format, right? It used to be we pretty much had the same format for everything, and now we have multiple formats at all times. So, and they're all three unique, and they're all three, I think, really fit their community. So, as we get started today, I want to ask our viewers, hey, be sure to say hi, tell us where you're tuning in from. Just drop it in the comments chats. We love to say hello and chat back at you a little bit. And then also, as always, if you have any questions, you hear me say something, you want me to show you something, give you an opinion on something, or help answer a question that you're concerned with, whether it's on topic in the show tonight or today or not, it doesn't matter. Drop it in the comment box, and happy to help. So let's dive right into it. We're starting tonight with an event for the Oregon Symphonic Band, and this is a fun event. It's going to be a live streamed only event. It's purely virtual. It is an event that we're going to be producing from right here in our home studio. It's going to be on StreamYard, and it is a pretty straightforward event. It's something that we've done quite a few of. I did a whole episode last week on Fundraising BIDness Talk about the StreamYard model. It's an extremely value-added platform that we created and started using. I know there's a few auctioneers around the country. I think Ira Klein down in California is using StreamYard pretty exclusively to produce events. He does it combined with the Paybe bidding platform. I tend to like Octria, and so to each his own. But we're going to be broadcasting that on StreamYard. That event bidding kicked off a week ago, and we're going to be doing this live stream tonight with a paddle raise and three live auction packages, and then we've also intermixed, and really kind of cool for the group is we have intermixed videos of past performances of the Oregon Symphonic Band. COVID has been pretty hard on the band. These are folks that are passionate about the big band music and the symphony, and they have not been able to practice or perform since COVID hit. And so, and you say practice, they haven't been able to practice. Well, I want to clarify, they haven't been able to practice together, right? So some of these musicians are professional, some of these musicians are just avid musicians. Maybe they played professionally at some point in their career, they've been great students of music, and they come together and they provide concerts throughout Oregon and Washington, and they haven't been able to do it. They haven't even been able to practice for a year and a half. But I applaud them because they still wanted to raise money for their organization. Their organization is really committed to giving back to the community and in the form of music, and providing folks with concerts, whether they be youth concerts. But the other thing that they do, or adult concerts, right? But one of the things that they do is they reach out to the high school music programs. And as you can imagine, even before COVID, budgets have gotten tighter and tighter for these organizations, for these schools. And a lot of times they have a band teacher or a music teacher. But that music teacher may be a specialist in one or two or three instruments, but not an entire symphonic band, right? And so what the Oregon Symphonic Band is doing in their fundraiser tonight for Share the Music is that they are raising money to be able to provide clinicians to the high school music programs that are specialized in certain instruments. So let's say one of the high schools music teacher has a couple of students that are playing an instrument that music instructor is not well versed in, then they can reach out to the OSB, and hopefully they're able to provide the funding to get them a clinician to come in and teach that specific instrument. So kind of a cool program. But the format tonight is a StreamYard format. Like I said, we'll have a paddle raise. We'll have 3 live auction packages. They have probably 20 some odd packages that have been up for bid online since we got started with them. And I was trying to think, I could put, just in case, I probably should put, it would make sense, wouldn't it? Why wouldn't I put the link to this event on in the queue for us, and then we can let's see if I can just click on that link, copy link address, and let's put that in a banner for you guys. And if you want to tune in tonight and see an event that is produced a very, very value added format platform, I joke, my buddy Blake McKinney in the ad agency business down in Dallas, Texas, but travels all over the United States and the world, doing in the advertising world, expert in experiential advertising and brand awareness and things of that nature. Does some great work. Anyhow, I was talking to him the other night, and I was saying, hey, Blake, we have this format that we're using in the fundraising auction business in the virtual side, and it's a lot less expensive than some of the other formats of having to go to a studio or have a studio come to you, that type of thing. And in this environment, it's a great solution for many, many groups, but I don't want to say it's cheap. I don't want to say it's down and dirty. He goes, Patrick, it is a value added platform. So that's my new terminology when we use StreamYard for these types of fundraising events like we will tonight. Check it out. Go to charityauction.bid/OSB 2021. And I think you'll be impressed. They have an entertaining show tonight. Some live auction items, and a paddle raise, but more importantly, really showcasing the organization and trying to bring the group back together virtually to, remember what it was like when they could practice and they could play. So that will be that'll be a fun event, and that's tonight. That's number 1 on our list of events over the next few days. So that is a 100% virtual event. And there is, 100% virtual. So let's go on to our next one. Now, tomorrow night, we're going to be up at Hillside Christian Fellowship, and we will be producing an event for an organization called Apple of His Eye Charity. And Apple of His Eye Charity is really a cool program. I've been so impressed with their dedication and their commitment to those less fortunate. Apple of His Eye Charity is assisting orphans and widows in India and Rwanda with all sorts of help and helping them get educated and make the most out of their lives. And so some really cool work that Apple of His Eye Charity is doing. And so a year ago, they were 100% virtual, and it was successful for them. I was not involved. Another auctioneer was involved, our old good friend Mitch Lamley, and he did a nice job for them. But their community really didn't latch on to the format, and they were optimistic and really wanted to get back together this year. So when they contacted me several months ago, several months ago, we talked a lot about their event, and I was very As many of you who tune in know, I've been very committed that Plan A is virtual and we'll add an audience as we can. Um, we've got to make sure that we're going to have an event regardless of the conditions. And so, we always make sure we have a virtual format that will work, and then we add an audience. And so, they bought into the concept. They understood where I was going with that. And we talked about that they wanted to do it. They wanted to do their event with an audience. And we talked about the studio audience concept. And let me share that with you and kind of the vision of how that works. But we bring people, a limited audience. This group used to have a couple hundred people attend their gathering annually and raise money for their organization. And we didn't feel like we weren't positive, we weren't confident that we could get a couple hundred people together, whether the state would allow it or whether their audience would be comfortable getting back together. But we knew we could get some size of a group. So what we have done to minimize our exposure financially was that we identified a location, one of the churches that supports them in many ways, Hillside Christian Fellowship, will be hosting the event in their buildings. And we're going to have a little social hour. I think we have about 80 people that are coming to the social hour event tomorrow. And they will arrive around 6 o'clock. And then about 6:45, we will move them into the main room where we're going to do a live stream. And we'll bring them in. They're just going to have some light appetizers, finger sandwiches, refreshments, that type of thing. In the lobby, there'll be some information. There'll be some of the online packages on display. We started the online bidding just like we do on all of our events nowadays. We started a week in advance of whatever the main event is, whether that's a gathering event, whether it's a live stream event, whether it's a hybrid like tomorrow night. Start that bidding a week in advance. Now, tomorrow night, they're going to get there early. They'll be able to mix and mingle. There's only about 80 of them coming to the event. That's kind of by design. We kind of hand selected those folks who would benefit from being in person and comfortable with being in person. And then we're going to walk them in, and we are set up to do a live stream in the space, and we will have the guest sit in theater style seating. So not like at round tables, but they will sit at theater style seating, and we will live stream the show. And in that event, I think we have 5 live auction packages. We have a paddle raise. We have a raffle, all of those types of things. Now, tomorrow night, we're not using StreamYard, but we are using Octria, and we will be using simulcast bidding to take bids both in the room and online simultaneously. Now, this is a concept that we have done before. We did it earlier this year for an organization, and it worked extremely well. We were using the Octria platform, and for those of you who tune in that are using the Octria platform, I'm going to share my screen here in a few minutes and kind of give you a little bit of a sense of how we do it. But it works really well. It allows us to engage the audience in the room, but also the audience online, right? And one of the things that I think we have been missing, or I was ultra concerned about right from the get-go when we moved into the virtual environment, was the fact that we didn't have other people in the room with us raising their bid paddles, because those other folks raising their bid cards in the room motivated other people in the room to raise their bid cards, right? And so when we moved to virtual, one of the things that I incorporated into the live stream right from the get-go was that we went on a massive attempt to gather what we called pre-commits. In other words, we wanted the organizations to reach out and get folks to pre-commit to make a donation in the paddle raise. we found that if you had a goal for your paddle raise that we'd like to see pre-commits for it to be successful. We found that pre-commits of 50 to 60%. So if you were planning on raising $100,000, we like to have, 50 or 60,000 raised before we get to the live stream event, and then we would get the balance during that program, which has turned out to be being the case. It's worked really well. But that was the logic behind that was that people who were watching the live stream would see people's name, whether it's a first name or first and last name, whatever is appropriate in your community. They would see those names and recognize it gave the organization even more credibility that people were supporting and that people were donating in this crazy time that we're in today. And people want to be in the in crowd, right? And if others are doing it, they'll step up and do it. So that's why we used it. So as we moved into, that's how we used pre-commit. So now as we move into the hybrid environment, what I'm excited to do is actually, instead of just putting names or verbalizing those pre-commitments, I'm looking forward to showing an audience that's raising a bid card and making financial commitments at the same time as folks have the opportunity to do it online. And so that's the main reason to bring people back, quite honestly. I mean, at the end of the day, we do these events to raise money for the nonprofits, right? And yes, it's a bonus that we have a nice gathering, and yes, we can talk ourselves into that we're exposing the brand, and that we may not get a donation that night, but we'll nurture that potential donor, and eventually they give us a donation down the line. I agree with all that. At the end of the day, though, the number one priority is to raise money that night, right? And so, or at that event. And so I'm really adamant that when others see people supporting your cause, that they want to jump on the bandwagon and support it too. So that's my hope as we do these hybrids, that we're able to see people actually making donations and bids. And I think that will further our success. So this will be a cool one to watch. Like I said, we're not doing it on StreamYard. We're actually streaming on this event. The church that we're going to be located at has been streaming their services, their weekly Sunday services, to their different social media accounts. And so tomorrow night, we're going to stream that event using their software and using their equipment, their production team that's been doing their weekly services. And we're going to stream that right into Octria. And that's one of the cool upsides of Octria, is that we can stream it right into Octria, and we don't have to have a standalone site. So we can send everybody to one location, and just to one location, and away they go. And they can bid, they can watch, they can do everything. Now I'm gonna digress for a second, because I just realized I didn't mention this about the event we're doing tonight. Now, traditionally, when we do a virtual event, I'm pretty adamant about streaming only to the auction website, because I want people to be at the auction website where they can actually make a donation and where they can actually make a contribution. And what this group tonight with the Oregon Symphonic Band is, they don't have a huge community. It's a pretty tight knit group, and based on having not been able to practice together or been able to provide concerts now for going on 18 months, I'm gonna go against my traditional rule there, and we're gonna actually stream tonight's event to Octria, but also we're going to stream it onto their Facebook page. They have several hundred followers on Facebook, and we're going to stream that show to their Facebook page also. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is in the overlay, which, what you're seeing right now is an overlay on the screen, and then I'm superimposed in it in front of a green screen. But I'm adding the QR code for the event website to the stream. So it'll be in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen at all times, and I'll refer to it throughout the night so that anybody watching on Facebook will be able to scan that QR code, and it will take them right to the website. And now, whatever device they were watching the show on, whatever they were, whether it was on Facebook, whatever kind of a device, did they have it up on their smart TV? Did they have it on their computer? Whatever. When they scan that with their phone, they can log in, register on their phone, and make their phone a bid paddle. So, wait, I'm going to see if it works. I think it's worth the effort tonight to do that, and so we're definitely going to do it. But tomorrow's night's event, we're only streaming to the Octria platform, to that group's page. And I wanted to give that website too, so that if you would like to tune in tomorrow, check that out. Should be a lot of fun. It's a format that we have done before. We did this back in May, where we streamed. We had a small gathering. We took a group that was 400 in the past for a luncheon event, and we brought 75 of those folks together in a kind of a happy hour format. Time, and then we streamed for an hour, and we raised 35% above goal, and it worked really, really well. So this is a similar format. It's what I call the studio audience platform, where we minimize our cost by not serving a whole dinner, not having to sell tickets. It's you're hand picking the right people to be in the room that tend to be your most generous, and they're coming together, and they're being hosted in essence by the nonprofit. So they don't expect filet mignon, and they don't expect an endless bar or any of that type of stuff. And they're coming together, and we're extremely hopeful and optimistic, very excited about their generosity and how they'll support the cause tomorrow night. So that's a lot of fun. So that's event 2. Apple of His Eye charity. So we've got the Oregon Symphonic Band tonight. We've got Apple of His Eye charity tomorrow night, and then come Saturday, where we're going to be doing our 3rd event in 4 days. And this event is for Catholic school here in the Portland metro area. This is for Christ the King out in Milwaukee. Now, this is a group who, when they first contacted me back several months ago, their hope was that they were going to have a gathering event, right? That was their hope. That was what they wanted to do. They really were not interested in doing a virtual event. They wanted to do a gathering event. It was something that was very big in their community. It was very popular in their community, and they were looking forward to doing it again. And so, as I see folks keep tuning in, I want to remind you, if I didn't say it earlier, I'm going to say it again. Drop a hello in there. Tell us where you're tuning in from today. Say hi. We'd love to say hi back. And as always, if you hear something I say and you got a question, drop it in the comment box. Happy to answer any questions you may have. It's nice to have you tuning in today. So with that being said, so Saturday night, they were planning on having a gathering event, right? It's a Saturday night. Traditionally, as you know from listening to me in the past, when we moved to virtual, we moved almost every one of our events off of the weekends. We feel strongly that the weekends are incredibly valuable now to individuals and families in this COVID era that we have. We tend to want to turn off from our technology on the weekend, whereas, we're okay with Zoom calls and video conferences and things like that during the work week. But come the weekend, we tend to avoid those things. And we've also found that little short trips are wonderful. People like to hop out of town, maybe over to the coast, maybe over to Central Oregon. But there's a lot of activities on the weekend. And I think the traditional fundraising auction environment is a challenge when it's on the weekends right now. But several months ago, we thought, hey, maybe this will work. We also knew that with the school community, schools are unique in that they're usually a really tight-knit community. And there was some incentive in that parent group had not been able to get together for the last 18 months. and that this was going to be the first time they get to all come together, right? I mean, even back to school nights uh, have been virtual and things in our market. So we were excited. We did talk to them about we needed to incorporate. We recommended incorporating some virtual elements, and in case things went sideways or anything happened with the pandemic, another strain, another um, uptick um, in the virus, that we were going to be able to have an event regardless. And so, once again, this is a Catholic school. They are used to broadcasting their services, so on from their church, from their parish every week, and so we're utilizing those services to broadcast this event also. Right? Ideally, we had hoped to have a couple hundred people return to the school, but looks like we're going to have about 100. And, like we expected, some people are hesitant to gather yet. Some people don't want to gather in a mask. There's a lot of different reasons. So even though, um, our current conditions here in Oregon allow people to gather in groups, but you have to wear a mask if you're indoors. The weather is not what we would consider appropriate to do outdoor events here in our market. So, but for whatever reason, as I said last week, I think it's more challenging than ever for nonprofits to determine their format, because today we don't have strict mandates with respect to you cannot gather. That made the decisions easy. Now, the fact that we can gather is a positive, but we have to be somewhat sensitive to the fact that some of our guests don't want to gather and some are not interested in gathering in a mask. So we've got lots of different protocols going on. So anyhow, so we're going to do this event on Saturday. It is a Saturday night. We have about 100 guests that'll be in the room. We have what makes it different from tomorrow night is that we are doing a dinner service, right? So for those attendees who are coming in person, the agenda for the evening is similar to what they would have experienced at a traditional gathering event of this, event prior to COVID. So they'll come for a social hour. They'll sit down. Monsignor will bless the meal and bless the gathering, and then they'll have dinner, and then we'll get into our program with our live auction and our paddle raise and all those things. So we're not going to stream, okay? We are not going to stream people eating their dinner. I don't see why that makes any sense. I don't think anybody is anxious to sit at home and watch 100 people have their dinner. So what we are going to do is we're going to start streaming when we start the program and when we get to the meat of the evening, which would be the paddle race. In fact, tomorrow night we have two different paddle raises, which is unique. We're going to start the evening with a paddle race, or start the program with a paddle race, and we're going to end the program with a paddle race. So a little bit of a different twist on that there, but they have two separate things that they're funding, and they have matching grants, and so we need to keep those funds separately. So we're going to do two different paddle raises, and so that's cool. But we're only going to live stream the meat of the agenda, which would be the paddle raises and the live auction. They've got a raffle they've been selling now locally in person with the kids out in the marketplace selling raffle tickets for the last several weeks, and we're gonna do the drawing for that. Um, and so that should be a little fun, but it's going to be different, and then that program starts at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, right? And so we're ultra sensitive to, we're going to be utilizing the tools in Octria, the texting features and things of that nature, to throughout the day to keep folks in up to date with a countdown and the activities. Today's the day. You can still bid up until this point. You can still make a donation, those types of things. And then early in the evening, we're going to start talking about, hey, we anticipate our live auction live stream to start at 8 o'clock. And then we'll give like a 15-minute, only 15 minutes until we start our live stream. And in each one of those times, we will give them the link. We will give them the link in those texts, in those emails, to go to the website where they will be able to watch the live stream show. And so it's a different format than the other two nights, where Thursday night, tomorrow night, when we live stream in a hybrid environment, we live stream at 7 o'clock, which is the same time that we live stream our program tonight. That's kind of a common starting point that works for a lot of communities, is that 7 o'clock hour. But on Saturday night, we're going to clock it. We're going to start the live stream at 8, and so we have to be aware of that and be very sensitive to the fact that that's going to work. So it'll be interesting to see. If you want to tune into that event tomorrow, check it out. There's the auction website location. You can go to that and register to bid. Support the school. Support the kids. Why not? Be a lot of fun. And then, hey, folks, I wanted to. One of the questions that I hear pretty regularly is, how do we go about doing simulcast bidding? We want people in the in-person audience to be able to enjoy bidding with their bid cards, but we also we want to reduce the barriers to entries. One of the things that we loved about virtual was that anybody with an internet connection could participate, right? They could register, provide their credit card, the contact information, and they could bid, right? Expanded the bandwidth of the audience who could support that cause. And so we want to combine those two formats. Well, luckily enough, we've been doing that in the online auction industry for 25 years, selling collectibles and antiques, selling personal property, selling automobiles, selling real estate, farm equipment, restaurant liquidations, whatever it might be. They've been doing online auctions for 25 years. And so I think that it is prudent that we take some of their best practices and apply them to our business. Now, we have traditionally used different software platforms. They have specific platforms that are set up just for that. And the majority of benefit auction platforms are set up more as event management tools as opposed to true auction software. And what I have found is that Octria tends to be, for me, a wonderful solution. And so a lot of my clients are using Octria. I feel strongly about it. And we've devised a method to be able to do this simulcast bidding in Octria, and we're going to execute it the next two nights, or the next few nights, both Thursday and Saturday night. And so as the auctioneer, what I will see is I will have a monitor in front of me that I am able to see not only donations coming in from online during the paddle race, but I'm also able to see the bidding on a specific item that we're selling in the room. So I will be taking bids in the room and online simultaneously. Those online bidders are bidding against other online bidders, but they're also bidding against folks that are in the room and have their bid cards. So it'll be a lot of fun and a lot of entertainment. And so I've had several people ask me in the past, how do you do that with Octria? And so I thought maybe I would just kind of share it with you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have our friends at Octria. I've set up a free account to be able to do this and to show it. I'm just going to go full screen for you here, but it's really cool. In Octria, this auction's already set up. This is just a sample fundraising gala that I set up. Octria has a wonderful tool in their online section that's called Monitor Auction. Okay, and from Monitor Auction, we are able to. I think that I have it right there. Yeah. From there, we are able to have what they call their live auction controller. And from here, I can make any of my items live, and it will show up on the bidder on their application. So what the bidder will see looks something like this, right? Normally it would have a picture. I've just kind of down and dirtied this one. This is called Toes in the Sand. lodging only for 7 nights and a suite of your choice, 5 different. So it's just a made up package, okay? But this is what the bidder would see when we're doing, hence bidder view. This is what the bidder would see on their screen when they are logged into the Octree app. Now, at the top of the screen will also be the right above this in the bidder view. What will be is the live stream. So they'll be able to see the live stream right there on their one screen and follow along with the action because I make each item live as we go along. Okay. And so what's cool here is that I can see the item and I can see the bidders, right? So as an auctioneer, that's important to me uh, because I can call them out. I can see where the bid is currently. In this case, we're at $2,100. I know my increments are at 100. My next bid needs to be a minimum of $2,200. Okay. Now, at the same time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to register a bidder, and I've given them the name Floor Bidder. First name Floor, second name Bidder, right? So pretty entertaining stuff, right? It's called a Floor Bidder. And I have registered that, in essence, that's my staff called Floor Bidder. And they are going to bid for the in-person folks so that the online folks can see the bids. So instead of trying to have one of my staff input the bid by a certain bidder number, in other words, bidder 123 in the room bid $1,000, and them have to type in bidder 123 and then $1,000 on this item. I think that takes too long and could be a challenge. I want them to be able to click a button and bid automatically. And then what that does is it shows the audience online that the bid is with the floor bidder. So in this case, I have myself registered as Patrick Cyber, but I also have a floor bidder that would be my internal group staff person that would be bidding for when I'm taking bids in the room. So just to give you a sense of what this might sound like, okay? If you were an in-person gatherer, you could say an in-person attendee. Our next package up for bid is the toes in the sand package. You can already feel your toes in the sand and a margarita in hand. We're going to start the bidding at $1,000, and at $1,000, we're at $1,000 with online is $1,000, and now 1,100 in the room, and 1,100 with a floor bidder, and now 1,200 is online. Now 1,300 out of bid, now 13, and 1,300. I have 13 in the room, and now 1,400 is bid online, right? So you can see how I'm telling everybody, whether they're on the live stream or in the room, they can tell where the bid is, whether the bid's in the room or it's online. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And this is also where my staff person will close the item. Right here is when I sell it, they're going to hit close. Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to share with you is how do they actually input the bids for the floor bidder. So what we do here is I'm going to go back to our main screen here, and I'm going to go to what they call bidding and sales. Okay. And right here, you have some cool options. This is great with Octria. So this is a page where you can register bids. Now, one of the fun things that I can do is that I can lock the item and I can lock the bidder. Okay. And so I'm going to choose the item to be toes in the sand. There's my item, toes in the sand. And I'm going to choose a bidder, floor, and there's floor bidder. Okay. So now my staff member is going to be looking every time I say that I'm at $1,000 in the room, they're going to type in $1,000 and they're going to hit enter, and that is going to bid for them. So in this case right now, it says $2,100. So I know the next bid. So I'm going to say, I'm looking for $2,200 out of bid now, 22, now $2,200 to bid, 2,200 to bid. I'm bid 21, looking for 22, and 2,200 is bid in the room, and boom, there it goes. You see how fast that changed? The floor bidder now is at $2,200. Okay, that is the current bid. Now let's go over to our other deal, and we're just going to hit refresh just because I don't normally have to hit refresh, but because we're broadcasting and everything else, I think I do. And so it's going to pop up and it's going to tell me that the current bid is at $2,200. So it happens very, very quickly. Actually, on the monitor that I see that's separate because it's all on the same computer right now, I see that instantaneously, and I can see that the floor bidder is at 2,200. What's really cool is that the bidder at home sees it extremely fast when they're bidding on their phone. In fact, I think I will, just for the fun of it, I'm going to, just for the fun of it, I think I will bid from my phone on this package. And let's do that real quick. Yeah. And it says, well, first of all, it tells me I was outbid, which is pretty cool. But it says the next bid increment's at 2,300. I'm going to click 2,300 and I'm going to click bid, and boom. You see that green button, that green box right there? And it's already kicked it to 2,300. That's how fast it was, folks. Let me do that one more time. Are you ready? Bid 2,400. Okay. Boom. It already says 2,400. That is how fast that happens. Okay. Now, there is latency, right? What we have been dealing with in this new virtual environment, fundraising auctions, is dealing with latency, which is the time it takes for you to hear what I say in the studio or wherever I may be at the venue, and when you hear it at home. What has almost that, depending on the platform we're broadcasting, whether it's, whatever we're streaming to, because we're streaming high def, it usually is anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds. It can be as long as 30 seconds on some platforms, right? Which is really obnoxious. But the reality is that the bidding instrument is always right. Okay. So the bidding instrument is the software that is the bidding, different than the live stream. The bidding software is accurate. And so we educate our audiences, please pay attention. There is a delay from when you're going to hear what I say to when you get it at home, but recognize that your auction platform, Octria, our bidding platform, is 100% accurate and is a lot faster. So, but anyhow, I think that's pretty amazing. I'm shocked, folks. I mean, I'm going to bid 2,500 on my phone right here. I've got my phone right here. You can see right there, there's a little blue button, and then I have to hit a confirm, but there it is, and boom. That's how long it took for it to get there. You saw it change immediately. You saw that Patrick bid 2,500 down in here. It's unbelievable to me. So that's how we're going to do simulcast bidding. Folks, this is going to be a lot of fun for our event. We're extremely excited as we make as we continue on this journey that is COVID and how it's impacted so many industries and so many communities. But we're really embracing it and doing our best to continue to help fundraise for nonprofits. These folks are making our communities better places to live and work, and helping those that are so less fortunate, and really, really doing some great work. And so we are at G Events incredibly committed to having them be successful. And this is another way that we're doing it. So, all right, folks, have a great day. I want to remind you that if you missed anything from today's show, you can always go to fundraisingbidnesstalk.com, and you can watch all 38 episodes of Fundraising BIDness Talk. A lot of good information out there that we've produced over the last, since January of 2021, sharing what we have learned in this new environment. And want to remind everybody we're on every Wednesday at noon. And if you want to get in touch and would like to visit about an individual question, your event, want to talk to us about helping you with your event, please go to geventsllc.com. You can, there's a scheduling tool there. We're always open for a conversation. Book a time, doesn't matter where you're located. It'll send you a Zoom meeting link and you can schedule it to work in your schedule. And we'd love to chat and visit with you about the fundraising BIDness at your convenience. So thanks once again, folks, for tuning in today. Want to remind you, it's not where you start the bidding, it's always where you finish. We'll see you next Wednesday. All right. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.